everyone, Cara from Innocent Charms Chats. Here with a different type of vlog today actually. It's going to probably turn into a sort of like a little bit of a mini series on my YouTube channel over the next probably year or so, maybe even longer. It was inspired by my friend Kirsty of My Two Mums, who's another vlogger. I'll put her link below. Excuse my nails. Basically, for those who don't follow me on other parts of social media, and hopefully there are people that don't, that are here that are new, I have 3 children, but my eldest son, Grayson, is mentally and physically disabled. He is severe, complex and profound, so he's the triple 3, which isn't a good thing, but hey-ho. And I have spent the last, he's 6 years old now, or actually he's coming up 6.5. He physically is aged at approximately 18 months, I think, the last time he was aged. But mentally he's only aged at corrective age of 10 months old. So best way to describe him, he really is quite similar to a newborn baby mentally. He doesn't really have much understanding at all. But it's really hard to explain. That's why we're really starting these videos. So basically Kirsty said to me, she thought, because she knows I like to raise awareness for Grayson and who Grayson is, for special needs parents as a whole. I've done it in so many ways. I've shaved my head for charity when my hair was down to just above my bottom. I've held charity fun days. I blog about Grayson, so I'll put a link below. You can go check out my blog, type in Grayson in the search bar, and you know the main post will come up. And I've blogged a lot about him, certainly like the last couple of weeks, because of International Epilepsy Day and International Autism Day, because Grayson has both of those as a diagnosis. So I basically today have just come to say hello, explain a little bit about Grayson, and then answer a few questions that have already been put to me through social media. I want to do probably quite a few Q&A posts, because I really would like to, I think people get a little bit unsure of what's decent to ask. From my point of view, I am one of those special needs mums that really believes there is no Q's barred. I really would like people to ask me absolutely anything possible about Grayson, because you only really tend to see him on photos online, and I think it is hard for people to understand what it's like to have Grayson as a son. And I think the same way as being gay, which I have a gay brother, the same way as being multi-racial, which my father is Arabian, the same way my mother's American, they are all subjects which once upon a time, and they still are to a certain extent, have a lot of what's the word I want to say, discriminations and things like that against them, as the special needs and disabilities. And I'm trying to break that, or I'm trying to educate people slightly, or stop possibly even one person in Grayson's lifetime being as ignorant as they are, because until I had Grayson I really didn't understand how many people were still ignorant towards special needs. But on the flip side of that, I also want to show how friggin' awesome some people are that have come into Grayson's life. I'm going to put a couple of hashtags below, but basically if you want to know anything about Grayson, you look up these hashtags. They are hashtag R for the number 4, Grayson, hashtag Grayson's Great GFD, hashtag Grayson's Trike Auction, and all 3 of those have been hugely popular across social media as a whole, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. There are several groups for each of those hashtags too. Simple short answer, basically there was a group of bloggers twice, well actually no, one blogger once and another group of bloggers the second time, that came together and wanted to fundraise money for Grayson and raise awareness for who Grayson is and what he is and how he is in life. And I am eternally grateful for that. It has brought great people into my life. Kirsty of My Two Mums, who I mentioned earlier, and her wife Clara actually walked Mount Snowdon last year and raised just under £1,200 for Grayson, which is massive. When they started the idea, they had never even physically met Grayson, and they did that purely from hearing what I said about him online. Sonia of This Mummy Loves did Grayson's Trike Auction, God, it's got to be 3 or 4 years ago now, and she raised masses of money. I think it was 3,000, it's so long I can't remember, which bought Grayson a special needs trike, which he still uses to this day, and I still 100% believe is one of the reasons Grayson is now walking when we were told he would never walk. So I'm rambling. That was 5 minutes and we're already in and I've not answered one question. So quick, I don't know, how do you describe Grayson? Quick description of Grayson, which is really difficult because he's so complex. He's 6 years old, first son, born, wasn't supposed to have any disabilities, was supposed to be a normal little boy, stopped breathing when he was born, not still worried, didn't put us in special care, anything, just gave him a little bit of oxygen, he's fine, sent us to the ward. Grayson never cried for a feed. He went from being delivered at just past 4 o'clock to 7 AM the following morning before he was given any milk. Yes, that's partly my fault, but I did keep asking the midwives whether I should wake him up because he was asleep, and they told me no. Because of that, he went into hypoglycemic shock and started having seizures and was put in special care with double phototherapy. Was released from special care 4 days later, released from hospital at 7 days old, was suspected to be normal. 4 months old, Grayson stopped breathing. Lots of things happened in between. After several trips to A&E, they finally admitted him to hospital thanks to some amazing paramedics who I wish I knew their name, and my health visitors who saved Grayson's life numerous times. And he was found to have brain damage, and they thought that was it, and they told me he would be okay, and he was transferred to Evelina Hospital in London, which is part of St Thomas's. We went through hundreds of tests, everything you can imagine. The list is long. I will discuss it in detail further one day with you. But we were told it was just brain damage and failure to thrive, which means he didn't know how to drink milk, and he had lactose intolerance and blah, 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 blah. And he couldn't gain weight, and by that point, at 5 months old, he was under his birth weight, which was 7 pounds. He was down to 5.5 pounds. The brain damage, they believed, would only make him slow, and he would be corrected and relatively normal by 1.5 years old. He's not, and Grayson, as it stands today, is unique, which means he is also classed as a swan, which means he has a syndrome without a name, which is a genetic undiagnosed condition, which his is neurological. And the reason he's unique is because every major hospital in the UK has looked at Grayson, or children's hospitals to say, and they have agreed that at the moment there are no other children in the UK like him. So he is undiagnosed and he is special, and he's my superhero. So that's the short part. I'm going to answer a couple of questions, but I don't think I'm going to get through many, so this is just going to be like a part one. And I'm going to take it like for a couple, like 3 or 4 more minutes. Hopefully you don't get bored. And then I really would like some more questions. And I'm going to come back and explain about him more. So do leave them below, please, because I would like to raise as much awareness for my little boy as possible. So my first question comes from my friend Kirsty of My Two Mums. Actually, she's given me a couple of questions. So the first one was, are Addison and Deacon aware of Grayson's special needs, which is my other 2 children, who are just coming up 4 and just coming up 2, so they're both younger than Grayson. So they've always known Grayson just as he is. Definitely Addison is fully aware that Grayson is not the same as her. I don't think she understands the severity of who Grayson is. She just says he's her brother and that's all that matters, which is true. She says she believes he'll talk one day, and when I say to her, you know, Grayson's not like us, she goes, yes mummy, he's just special because he has to have his EPET medicine, which is his epilepsy medicine, which is the one thing she focuses on, which is really funny. But so I would say Addison is definitely aware, and Addison and Grayson's relationship is just intense. It's beautiful, and Grayson has really little awareness of people around him, but Addison, he does. Deacon, on the other hand, he has no tolerance for. Deacon definitely knows, I think there's something different with Grayson, and I don't really know how they couldn't, because he can't talk and he's only just started walking, and he's very loud and makes very loud noises. So I think Deacon constantly goes and gets things for Grayson and takes them to him. So I do think, and he doesn't do that for his sister. So I definitely think they're definitely aware that something's different. At what point, I don't know, when we'll have to explain more. She also then says, does Grayson require special night care? She asked this because she kind of knows. Grayson basically has, since when he was born, he slept 22 hours of every day until he was a year old. And then at year old, Grayson stopped sleeping, and he would sleep at best for about 2 hours a night. And he would just be awake the rest of the night. And he was like that until last year. And we had loads of night studies before, and they really weren't sure. And then he had a major video telemetry last year, which is where they put a load of electrodes on your head and they cover your head in stuff. And he was like videoed 24 hours a day for 4 days actually, solidly. And during that period, they found Grayson to have sleep apnea, which I'll leave a link for sleep apnea below. But Grayson's is a really rare form, and it's really complicated. And I'm not really sure I can go into detail here, to be honest. But basically, he stops breathing approximately 200 to 250 times a night. But the difference is, like, my husband has it as well. And when he starts breathing again, like when his brain triggers it, he basically starts breathing again. But Grayson, when he starts to breathe again, instead of breathing in oxygen, Grayson double breaths in a sense and breathes back in his CO2. So he's not really getting the oxygen, and it takes a couple of more times for him to understand that and do that. On top of that, then Grayson was found, which I've known for 6 years, but finally we got the full diagnosis that Grayson is also having many seizures during the night. So as a cause of both of those, Grayson now is on a BiPAP ventilation unit, which is a giant head mask. I will try and insert a picture. It'll probably be at the end of the video because I'm really crap with cutting these videos. And he has epilepsy medicine, which currently isn't working very well. They are working combined. They were working really well, and Grayson, for the first time in his life, started sleeping 7 to 8 hours, which was just intense, and I got a bit panicked and I would go in there. But his alarm, so his ventilation unit does go off quite a lot. There's a series of things that can go wrong with it. He can grab the tube, he can cover a valve, it can slightly push off his face. It's a whole list. So usually an average night, the alarms will go off a couple of times a night, which involves me going in there and sorting it out. He also has gastro-reflux disease, so he tends to vomit at night, so he hasn't got full facial mask for that reason. But when Grayson vomits, he doesn't even wake up, he just swallows it. So I kind of have to be half asleep at all times. So he vomits probably, it's got really good because he's on lots of medication, but probably once a week, maybe more, depending on what he's eaten that week. And then that obviously involves stripping him down, stripping the bed down, washing them. It's a long thing. And now in this last 6 months, he started having more seizures again. Well, we think they're seizures. They're not really sure at the moment. He's undergoing tests. But because of that now, he's having major jerks through the night, and they're quite uncontrollable. So I have to spend about an hour and a half with him each night, from about 2 o'clock till about 4, helping him, consoling him, trying to control the jerks so he doesn't bruise his legs and damage his. He's very, very skinny, very underweight, so he doesn't do more damage. So yes, Grayson requires an awful lot of night care, but that's okay. We love him no matter what. And then she then says, what time does your typical day start? What do you class as start? Because I'm kind of up and down all night. I suppose actually Grayson, because then I take his sleep apnea mask, his BiPAP mask off about 4-ish, because he's so unsettled at the moment. Grayson then goes into a deep sleep till about 7, so he now is not my problem. Up until last year, we were always up from 3 AM. He never slept past 3 AM, and it was killing him. It was taking him from me. So I am thankful for the BiPAP, but my typical day actually still starts at 5, and that is because my youngest Deacon has sleep issues. He doesn't sleep, and to be honest, there's a lot of care in the mornings for 3 children, but also for Grayson, because he has to have so many different medications in the mornings. Grayson still can't feed himself, and breakfast is about a 40-minute turnaround, and then there's school runs and everything else. So 5 o'clock is, you have to kind of be up by 5. Hence why I collapse by about 10 every night. Thank God for my husband is all I can say, because he, in all fairness, my husband is awesome, and he's actually now the full-time parent at home majority of the time, because Grayson has to have 24/7 care at home, so there has to be someone at home full-time. Okay, I was going to answer one more question, but I was very conscious the video was at least 15 minutes long, so I've decided to stop there. I do have a couple more questions from a couple of other people that I want to do. So I'm going to do like a part 2. Obviously 2 questions isn't going to be enough. I will try and give a little bit more of an insight about Grayson maybe on the next video too, so you can start to understand. And I also want to try and video Grayson's every day as best I can, because obviously he goes to a special needs school, so that's a little bit hard, but sort of so you can see different parts of his life. But so I would really, sorry, tangent off, I would really like some more questions if you're interested in learning more about Grayson, or the conditions he has, or because he does have epilepsy, autism, failure 5, global developmental delay. Honestly, the list is approximately 100 diagnoses at the moment, but obviously he doesn't have his condition. So if you'd like to know more about that, or the fact that Grayson's been front page of national newspapers and is actually having a photo shoot next week, so he's my superhero, please do leave them below. And like I said before, there is no questions barred for me. I believe, you know, questions is how we learn, so ask away. And thank you for taking the time to watch.